Good evening. I would say welcome back to Nosetools, but I haven't actually loaded the game yet. So let's do that. I can't quite remember what we were up to, as usual. I had just made the pit work again. Oh no! I had just the pit worked. Sorry, I'd made the pit work with made a means of dumping live things into the pit, or at least undead things into the pit before they came back to life again. No, hang on. After they had come back to unlife.
You can't come back to unlife.
Yes, they can. It's quite possible in Dwarf Fortress.
The first time they come back alive, they're not coming back to unlife.
Yes, you're quite right. Oh yes, and we had yes, right. So.
Quite so much they've been drafted once and redrafted twice.
Thank you. So yes, and I had thus managed to reclaim my butcher's shop by planting cage traps outside the door and then letting things out into the cage traps and then dumping the contents of the cage traps into the pit. So now we still have somewhere around a vampire. I am frankly of the opinion that the vampire is the least of our problems. They kill a person every few months. This is unfortunate, but not actually likely to imperil the survival of the fortress.
They kill a person every few months. They don't turn them into vampires, so you don't have them.
Yes. You can become a vampire by drinking the blood of a vampire.
But first you have to
But vampires mostly don't actually seem to want other people to become vampires. So this is like an effort.
The first rule of Vampire Club is there aren't any other vampires.
Yes. So I'm considering that to be the lowest priority of my problems. A higher priority problem is that a were monitor got into the fortress and has bitten, I believe, 2 people. I have named them were monitor ? Oh yes, and I need to look up the calendar, don't I? Because obviously what we need to know now is when the next full moon is. So the date is... I think it's the 21st of Felzite. And the calendar says that the 21st of Felzite is a full moon. So assuming that this isn't the full moon on which everyone was converted, and surely we've had enough time to pass that it's not that one. Let's just check the announcements. Yes, I mean, like... Okay, I can't actually find the death of the... I can't actually find the message for the for when the were monitor was fighting. So maybe I can't, unless it was a very long time ago. Oh, the were monitor, right. So no recent announcements. Last report, 25th of Slate. The 23rd of Slate is a full moon. So I think it was sometime around the 23rd of Slate that things happened last time, and thus I think if we're on the 21st of Felzite, well, I'll give it a couple of days, but I think that probably means that neither of our potential were monitors is actually a were monitor, since they both appear to be dwarves still. So we should unpause. We should unpause for a day or so. And make sure they stay dwarven. Another sodding bard. Hang on. Ah, were monitor thing has transformed into a were monitor. Right, well, so it happened rather later in the day than I was expecting. Of course, transforming into a were monitor in the middle of the of a military training session may or may not be a good idea. The other one, I think, is in a cage and is presumably thus still in a cage and is just now a were monitor. So that one is not a problem. This one is slightly more of a problem. Were monitor cheesemaker. Yeah, the thing is, if you transform into a ravening monster while you're in the middle of military training, that tends to mean there are a bunch of heavily armed, reasonably effective dwarves kicking around. Sadly, we have two more. Right, I'm going to have to start marking people as potential were monitors, and I'm going to have to start locking them away at new moons, at full moons, because this is just going to be disastrous. So we have the lie maker has been bitted. Okay, who is the lie maker in question? So you're a lie maker. You are probably.
It's very good mustard this month.
Thus, also now a were monitor. You I cannot change the nickname of at present because you're not currently a member of the fortress because you're transformed into a ravening monster. Thank you, Simon. You're a lizard, Harry. Or possibly not Harry in this case. Ubulnakas. Only that's actually not their real name.
No, I can't spell it.
Thank you. Anyway, I think that we should check whether that cheesemaker has actually been bitten yet, because if not bit, bites, tearing the fat, that sounds like a bite to me. So now I have a kind of what do I do here question. Oops, no. On the one hand, I could send in a pile of military dwarves and see if we can kill the existing were monitor, or I lock all the doors and just see who comes out alive. Cause, like, thank you, Claire. Yes, or seal off the whole room forever and train a new militia. I mean, I think we could do slightly better than sealing off the room. Incidentally, what I didn't know last time is that were creatures are able to avoid all traps. So cage traps are no good against them. At least while they're were creatures. If, on the other hand, you knock a dwarf unconscious and knock them onto a cage trap, they're quite capable of being caught, as we saw by the dwarf who it turned out to be a were monitor upstairs. So yeah, I think I don't try to deal with this. Those two dwarves in there are probably lost already, in that they are going to be were monitors. So if they die, well, then that's a problem. A problem I don't have. If this were monitor dies because they're reasonably effective, that reduces my number of problems. Either way, I don't think losing those two would be a serious loss to the fort, because they're going to be a bloody nuisance to deal with anyway. So my plan thus, I think, is to go lock, lock, lock. You lot stay in there until either the one who's currently a were monitor transforms back, or they get killed, whichever is the problem. Yes, Claire asks, if your fortress were 100% were monitors, would that be a problem as such? There is an entire section in the Werebeast page of the Dwarf Fortress wiki of maybe you should just infect your entire fort. As there are pros and cons. Advantages like you don't actually have to bother feeding your dwarves anymore, because all of their medical problems, including starvation, go away once a month when they transform. Similarly, you don't really need hospitals, and they don't need sleep. And this conveniently replaces all their clothing once a month, because they throw all their old clothing away and then pick up the best clothes that they can get back. Unhappy thoughts are less severe, as the process of being bitten and biting others tends to make your dwarves very resilient to tragedy. But yes, when transformed, fortress activity grinds to a halt, and for a few days afterwards, as civilians run around finding new clothing. Werebeasts are building destroyers, so you constantly need to remake workshops and most furniture. Trading is especially difficult, because your typical trade caravan spends more than a month in the fortress, and so tends to get slaughtered. So yeah, I think that while that might be a fun approach, it's not actually one that I want to try to take just yet. So I'm going to lock those few away. Keep this. Yes, you do indeed get to keep all of the stuff that the traders left behind. Then shortly after you've done this a couple of times, you start getting to keep the stuff that their armies leave behind.
That's hardcore. I think the traders just stop turning up.
I think killing enough traders does start to cause diplomatic unhappiness. We may, though, end up in that situation anyway, because the traders at the moment keep getting killed by the zombie rhinoceroses. And I'm not sure that won't get treated as being my fault as well. But anyway, I'm just going to leave that lot in there for now. There's a slight question of what I do about the one that I have actually successfully... Yes, the Bards Union indeed doesn't have an army, and thus is probably not going to be a problem. So yes, we've got this were monitor in a cage as well. Wonder what I should do with them. Let's not worry about it for now, though. And let's see what happens in this one. Interrupted by a... That's someone I didn't know about. Okay, where is that were monitor? Can I isolate them? Units. Others, they probably count as others at the moment, don't they? Or do they actually count as citizens? Don't seem to appear under citizens. Ah, right, berserk. So, one caged, one not a serious problem, one actually a serious problem, but where are they? Right, so I think what I want to do is, if at all possible, lock them in that room, because this is the kind of situation where my heavily divided fortress should be quite, oops, okay, if you're going to be on that side, I'll unlock the door again, should be quite useful in that we should we might actually be able to isolate them in a single room. Yes, go on, run it. Get that door closed between the two of you, please. No, don't go that way. Don't go that way.
Never go that way.
Okay, did you just do something clever? Well, it turns out that a cat has been having a fairly useful effect on this creature. Someone else is coming along, that's not helpful. Yes, and right now, if you can stay there for long enough for the door to close. Oh! Yes, I should work out whether this person, who else, so this is that one, right, so right, so that miner is probably a wear monitor now. Let's just check that that's that miner. Yes, no other miner has been fighting recently. What are you doing? Why are you going in there? Can you not see that there's a sodding wear monitor there? That maybe you might want to run away. No, apparently you can't. Well, well done. I mean, I think that's probably going to be quite bad for the wear monitor.
Stonework, but she rolls away.
Yes. Well, she was possibly on the floor already. Yeah, that's nice. You lot, I don't care about you lot. You lot are locked away, and it's going to come out however it comes out for them. You I care about, because I need to check whether you get bitten. You haven't actually done anything yet, have you? I mean, the wear monitor is presumably now quite badly injured. So they're fairly resistant to like being injured. That's the miner again. Right. That's another death.
Oh, no, undead possible wear monitor.
Yes.
Will they remain wear if they're also undead?
I don't think so. I don't think that they can they could reanimate. So who was that? That was the all right. That was the cheesemaker who was in the fight with the wear monitor. So they haven't actually, they have been infected but had not yet turned. Presumably something happened to lose him his silver mace, at which point. No, apparently just managed to get horribly throttled. So anyway, yes. Our where the one who's the problem is the wear monitor engraver, and there's still someone we're hoping will survive this experience. And I'm also looking at that door. I don't think it's worth locking that door yet, because someone might be able to flee through it. You've managed to throw someone by their toe, which, as a bit of here is how you understand what the hell's going on. Yes, that miner has been bitten repeatedly. It's the stoneworker, this one here, whom I'm worried about. Yes, so a little bit of Dwarf Fortress user interface that you don't see very often. We often see people appearing with a dark yellow, a brownish background, which indicates that they are currently lying down or prone or otherwise on the floor. Here we have someone with a teal background, and that means that they are flying through the air.
The greatest of cheese.
Something similar to that, yes. Yeah, I think that poor lie maker is also not going to last long, despite having a sword. Well done, you've managed to punch the wear monitor, bruising its heart. That was quite a good punch.
That takes some effort, I think, probably. I mean, you might be able to bruise the heart of something that basically doesn't have any bones, like that giant snail the other week.
But something that has ribs is going to be a bit more of an effort, and I think most lizards do. Where monitor, blah, blah, blah. Yes, okay, it's released released the miner, who is now stunned by virtue of just having been hurled against a door. I mean, like, I'm not hopeful that this is going to work, but you know, you've opened an artery in the were monitor's right lower leg. One of the things that dwarves will not tactically do is go, I've hacked this thing's legs off, maybe I should now get away from it since I can run faster than it can.
Just a flesh wound.
Yes. You know, its legs don't work anymore. Maybe you could arrange to be a long way away from it. Yes, the wear monitor is going to kill the line maker. That's not. Here we have a miner who's really good with a pick and may actually. No, it's not. Yes, I don't know if you can infect them by biting them when you haven't yet turned. I think not, but
Can a were being infect something by getting bitten by?
I don't think so. No.
I mean, in some vampire canons that works.
Yes.
There's definitely at least one or two vampire fictions I can think of where the vampire bites the human and it just eats, but the human bites the vampire. That's how someone becomes a vampire.
Yes, I think indeed that would work in Dwarf Fortress, but I think the other I don't think that applies to werebeasts. Okay, I think our poor miner is not going to survive this encounter. Probably means that the stoneworker is for it as well. Yes, I think there is going to be a lot of blood around shortly. I mean, yes, well done, stoneworker. You're repeatedly punching the wear monitor, but given that it has survived being okay, you're doing a good job with that pick, despite having had your leg torn off. Well, almost torn off. Having had your leg quite badly injured, at least. She may be terrified, but she is also satisfied at having improved her ability to fight. But yes, her left upper leg is torn open. Her left upper leg is gushing blood. Her right lower arm is cut open. Her left upper arm is bruised. Head torn open. Her lower spine is oozing blood. But, like, the wear monitor is also not very happy. I mean, it isn't gushing blood from anywhere, though. Right, the stoneworker has now been bit. And hence is probably a lycanthrope. Yes, also Anthrop is wrong as well.
Oh God. Yes, what is the Latin?
We did work it out at one point, but essentially this is why why the relevant article in the Dwarf Fortress wiki is entitled Werebeasts.
Yes.
Though where is possibly wrong as well.
Where beasts?
Claire asks, what percentage of your dwarves are wear monitors now? We've got 3 in this room, probably. 3 in this room, but one of them's dead. So that's another 2, plus 1 in a cage who is not a problem. So out of 87, 6. So that's like about 8%.
Can we degauss? What's a wear monitor?
A dwarf who turns into a monitor lizard or into a ravening monitor lizard-like monster every full moon.
That's what I half wondered. I thought it might actually be a monitor.
But yes, we don't have a mechanism for degaussing monitor lizards. As far as I know, I think it is incurable. Which possibly, well, I mean, if we were being really organised, we would try to find a way to just lock them away for a few days every month. It may be necessary to lock them away permanently. Possibly in like a polite way that involves them being supplied with food. But they don't need to eat because they cure their hunger once a month anyway. You've successfully taken an entire arm off the wear monitor now. Wow. I mean, for someone who is going to die of blood loss within the next half hour or so, you're doing pretty well.
Wear monitors have arms?
Apparently so. Well, this one has fewer than before.
Right, but I mean, you expect bipedalness to be what you have when you're not being a lizard.
I think these are like the werewolves in Skyrim, that they're still bipedal but furry and much bigger and stronger than
Right, yeah, so these are
humans.
lizard Centauri's for.
Yes, it's possible. Yes, so like lacking an entire arm and gushing blood, some hope of death, some. Like, if the entire contents of this room could die of blood loss, that would be excellent. Wear monitor. What? I've just spotted there's another dwarf in this room. Oh gods, there was another door I forgot to lock. And so the dwarf has just wandered in. You idiot! Look, run away again. There's a sonic werebeast there. Why are you not terrified of it? That's the one we're interested in, isn't it? I mean, I'm really impressed by this miner. I mean, okay, that was a foolish manoeuvre. Scratches the wear monitor in the upper body. Oh, the craft dwarf has turned up with a battle axe. That'll help. I mean, like, I didn't want you to come in here, but
But if you've got to be here, better you're here with the battle axe.
yes, I'm just wondering. Well, let's leave that door unlocked for now, in case someone wants to flee through it. But I'll lock it if anyone looks. Oh, the Ware Monitor engraver has bled to death. Right. So what I want to check is fairly carefully. They didn't bite the crafts dwarf, but they did bite the stoneworker, I think. So bites the stoneworker, but has at no point bitten the crafts dwarf. Right. I mean, there is. Oh, no, that wasn't the bottom I wanted. I meant V. W. Yes. So we have a fairly badly injured Ware Monitor here. Not Ware Monitor, Miner, who may or may not live and will probably become a Ware Monitor. The Stoneworker will probably become a Ware Monitor. The Crafts Dwarf, I believe, did not become a Ware Monitor despite getting involved. And we have lying around here a bunch of bits of the corpse of the Ware Monitor, which has now, I think, turned back into a dwarf corpse. So now I can unlock the doors. That door was unlocked already because we weren't sure who was going to end up on which side of it. That was the door I forgot to lock. I have a square grid of rooms. I really should be able to remember how many doors need to be locked. Right. So all the doors around there have a sunny and cheerful disposition and are unlocked. The miner is going to need some medical attention. And someone is going to need burial or similar. Right, so how is our other Ware Monitor getting along? Right, I think despite some fairly serious injuries, you can't fracture guts, I mean, really. Since it's not actually dying of blood loss, it will probably survive and improve its situation, improve its health when it comes back to normal. So,
Who's scruffy looking?
I did have an other plan for other things that I wanted to do, namely, I changed. So last time I went. I kind of started deciding not to put dwarves in coffins, but I think that's morally wrong, and that way you get ghosts and general unhappiness. And I think actually I should do the inverse and do to the graveyards what I did with. I don't think we can get were zombies. I think we only get where. I think we only get zombies. in particular, the corpses turn back into dwarf corpses when they die, I think. So I think we can safely... So I think thus we can use cage traps to catch anything that comes back to life in the graveyards. And then, therefore, we can have perfectly ordinary graveyards. And I feel that this is obviously the correct approach. And we just need to surround all of our graveyards with cage traps. Which may require building a few cages, or indeed quite a lot of cages. So I think I'm probably going to need some more mechanisms for this. Yes, I am. Construct some cage traps around this graveyard, and thus make it possible to bring it back into service. And do this with all of our graveyards. So that's the plan. And it means I need more mechanisms. Gonna need lots of them. We have plenty of stone. Right. Good God, have you already turned into zombies? Or are you just annoyed? Can't see any. Also, the stoneworker didn't... Why? What? Interrupted by someone who... People seem to be being interrupted by... Oh, no, that's just hauling away that corpse, I think. That's all perfectly normal.
This is the Takara average, and that's the unstory rumble. That's at about the same size. And people are saying that this one is really bigger.
Okay. Okay, now I'm quite worried. Because the miner and the stoneworker have started fighting. Yes.
Role playing the Pope.
Right. Oh, we always card one.
And he appointed me a cardinal for making a good suggestion about declaring Windows a heresy.
So, yes. Stoneworker punched the miner. The miner then attacked the stoneworker. Woodcutter attacks the stoneworker. And hacks off one of the miner hacks off one of the stoneworker's arms. Yes, so I think currently it's just the stoneworker getting into fights with everyone else for now. Pigtails are a kind of plant, not actually the tail of a pig. So there is yeah, I think this stoneworker is not going to last very long when you're being attacked by when being attacked by a woodcutter with a bismuth bronze battle axe and a miner with a steel pick and wearing no armour. So I don't quite know what's going on here, but it did cause some bruising as well. But yes, it mostly destroyed their trousers.
They should have protested in the strongest possible trousers.
Right, okay, the stoneworker has been killed by being hacked into pieces. My hope now is that they will stop fighting. That's fine. Right, everything has calmed down there. No one else seems to be busy getting in gratuitous and unnecessary fights. Yeah, right, good. Okay. So that room still needs to remain locked because so
Yeah, the only problem is that nobody at all gets the purpose of it.
now there's going to be a lot of hauling of, thank you. Yes, there was a reason why that one was in a cage. It was because I expected it to do that. Yes, okay. An arm has come back to life. But someone had a pick there and has fairly rapidly shattered it again. Just check if there's anything here that obviously needs to be disposed of.
I forgot you said that to me as a greeting. There was a time when greetings didn't all say snooze, you know.
I know. I sent you the secret table up there as well. I think it's you, supposed to be you the table over there. You've got one in my chair. Despite the lack of any lack of happy in the store, but it's not sure it wasn't quite distraught. I think we should leave it be in case we make it bad. And anyway, a sofa stay can't really be that bad. I said to you over the same political body.
I think the wear monitor corpse probably wants to go in the pit quickly. Right, okay, so... So you, we now know... That's not the button I want. You, we now know are definitely a wear monitor.
So you take off the question mark to indicate that it's definitely. What rates an exclamation mark?
Not sure. And similarly, Ubulnakas we know is definitely a wear monitor. I wonder how we deal with some of this. I think we make some more coffins. That's one of the things we do. Yes, well, this font is so. Dizzyet says, "I notice your font is compatible with ISO 646 and therefore not compatible with US ASCII, in that it misdisplays backquote and apostrophe. Strictly, it is of course code page 437, and possibly I should actually check what code page 437 officially is."
First, it is a code page. No, right.
Yes. Yes, it is possible that I should actually change that, depending on quite... IBM know what the spec is. I found IBM's spec of what code page 437 is once. That's how I know that I've got the phi right. Lots of people get the phi wrong. Because IBM screwed up their own character mapping tables.
Well, that's just the normal thing that happens. Rick Rubenstein posted on Rec Juggling once, very embarrassedly, saying he'd been doing Rubenstein's Revenge wrong.
So yes, there's a... Someone needs to go through one of those doors in order to drop the wear monitor corpse into its correct location. There we go. Now we get to see if the thing killed as a wear monitor will come back to life entertainingly.
Good night, people with ears.
Good night.
I've only got one more or less.
Whether they're ear or not.
What's that bright blue body part? Oh, it's part of a troll, right, yes. Right, so... Oh yes, I need to decide what I'm doing with you. I think I can safely let you out, but I need to pay attention to the date. So, yes. I mean, I could just seal you up in that room, but it's a kind of inconvenient room. So, one thing I should do is say, it is currently the 23rd of Felsite. Thus, the next transformation date is the 19th of Hematite, give or take. Can I banish them to the Rhino Land? That sounds like a good plan, doesn't it? And yes, I probably can. This one's even a member of the military. Thank you for that suggestion, Claire. I like that suggestion. Like, just send them up onto the surface with an axe and instructions to kill as many undead rhinos as they can. What are you doing there? You're storing something in a stockpile, right. So what I'm going to do is to go... So conveniently, we have 2 members of the military who appear to be wear monitors. Death makes people unhappy. Diziot asks, doesn't banishing people make everyone else unhappy? Well, dying makes people unhappy. People being killed makes them unhappy. Then being away will only make other people slightly unhappy. Like, I think given the amount of death that they're liable to cause, sending them out on the surface to a glorious death at the horns of the rhinos seems like a positively like dwarfy approach to the problem. So you 2 should move to there. Yes, well, I mean, they're fully named as far as I'm concerned, but the user interface is shortening the names for us. So, yes, so that will get those 2 out. The other one is currently in a cage, but he's also... Oh, hang on. Are they actually one of the ones that I've just given an order to? Maybe we should let them out of the cage. It's quite complicated letting a dwarf out of a cage. So... Yes, surely we need to open that cage, which means that there's still... So what's going on with my wear monitors? I'm slightly confused. So that one has the correct order applied. That one is trying to pick up equipment. Where's the other one got to? All right, they're stuck in the cage. Okay. Do I only have 2 wear monitors at the moment? Oh, there's my other one. There's my plausible wear monitor, who is currently being patched up in the hospital. Let's leave them there for now. Okay, so we have the slight entertainment that one of my wear monitors is actually locked in a cage. So I shall let them do that, which I hope will let them out. let's not worry about that for now. I'm sure someone will deal with this right upper arm in due course. Yes. Since that keeps coming back to life, let's put it somewhere more helpful. So is anyone going to release that dwarf from their cage, or am I actually going to have to do... I think there's a weird... Alright, yes, so there is a job there for release dwarf from cage. But no one's actually doing the job. The cat got punched by the right upper arm. All right, so someone's job is to release them. Right, we've got an entire wear monitor corpse now. No, it turned out, I think I may have needed to assign someone to the job of releasing from cages, but someone did decide it was their job. So now I have this slight problem that I want to split up. So I want to say those of you who are not were creatures should deal with this annoying undead here. Those of you who are were creatures, on the other hand, should be going outside to deal with the rhinoceroses. Yes, I can make multiple militia squads. That might actually be a sensible plan. Like, put the wear monitors on their own one. That would make my life less confusing, wouldn't it? Let's do that. So they are called the new ones. Can I name them myself? Feel free to come up with a better name for my Were Militia squad. It's currently just called the Were Militia. So the Norns of Rhinoceros, okay. I think it may possibly be that we can't have a name that long. I think they will have to just be the Horns of Rhino.
You could call it Run 24 Squares.
Right, so that will do. So I've put one of them in there. How is that job of releasing the other dwarf from their cage going? Okay, Gareth has come up with a better name, I think.
M on the end, it'd be fine.
No, MS. No, that one, yes. So, you want the horns of Rhinom or the norns of Rhinom?
Yes, I think the Norns of Rhinom.
The norns of Rhinom or Rhymon or Rhinom.
Rhinom, yes. I don't
Like that?
Rhinom, but yes, Rhinom. Yes.
Right.
The Norns of Rhinom.
So what was going on with actually letting this dwarf out of their cage? Jobs. Release wear monitor from cage. Go to unit. Right, you're trying to come up the stairs. Okay, good. Where are you going? Right, released. Now, what on earth has happened while I was... Oh yes, I want to take you and assign you to the Norns of Rhinom as well. And then say the Norns of Rhinom should be positioning themselves here. Oh no, you move. Oh right, no, I have to go move here. Why do you not? Or do I need to? Oh right, oh right, I know what's going on. Yes, I need to go back to select the squad. Right. C, move, that's better. Here. A, I think there's something that still wants killing. Here. Right. I can be organised really. One of that squad has got themselves organised, has possibly some vaguely decent weaponry, and even a shield. Where's the other one then? Sorry, I was briefly distracted by the. What are the Seb asks, what are the reverse video faces? That will depend on what. Well, depend a bit on what you think is reverse video. In general, that will mean something that would have been the background colour were it not for the fact that it's on the same colour as the background, and so we couldn't see it if it were. Oh, or do you mean the reverse video faces like the like that? Hang on, like this one here. That indicates a military dwarf. So that kind of face there is a military dwarf, whereas the more common, this kind of face here is a civilian dwarf. Right, so we're still waiting for the other member of that squad to turn up. There they are. Right. Wait for the door to be closable. I'm not going to worry about the fact that we've got two cats on the wrong side of it. Let us let our military out into the world. Well, our tiny Norns of Rhinom out into the world. And I think just instruct them to kill a were-rhino and see how many of them they can take down. That might be a bit vicious. Possibly just instruct them to station themselves outside the entrance, but the door will open shortly. Oh dear. Problem with babies, they're very delicate. So even an undead hand can cause trouble. Maybe I should start actually disposing of things properly. Maybe I should... Right, so... you lot. Out onto the surface with you. I mean, I'm assuming we've still got the were-rhinos out. The undead rhinos out here, of course. Actually, it looks like we might not have. Well, that's a disappointment. It looks like maybe, actually, the rhinos have wandered off again. I mean, that thing wants killing again. Yes, there will doubtless be more of them later. But what that does mean is that I can safely unlock this door and let people onto the surface for a little while. Yes, I think I want the wear monitors to mostly be out on the surface. There is apparently an entertaining problem where if two or more transformed dwarves have any sort of active military order and can see each other at the moment they change back from were form, they will instantly begin fighting to the death. If they do start fighting each other, cancelling all their orders will make them stop. So that may not be a problem anyway. I could send them to different sides of the... as you say, Claire, I think that may be what happened. That may be why someone got killed, because they were in the middle of a fight when someone transformed and there was confusion. But I'm not sure. Yes, and as Pinkbee says, worst case, they wipe one another out. I think at least if they're doing that reasonably far from the rest of the fortress, we won't have a serious problem. there is a slight danger of like all-out civil war, but we seem to have avoided that so far. Right, and out they go onto the surface. But I think at the moment we can actually let people in, let all of our dwarves out. There is a thing, Diziat asks, does it model civil war then? There is a thing called a loyalty cascade, which appears to be more or less like that. Let me just look it up. Where there's some kind where different factions within a civilization start attacking one another. And this can be complicated. So yes, we try to avoid that. There's lots of people now going in and out because I've finally allowed people out onto the surface again. But I do also want to try to sort out my graveyard problem now that I have an opinion about what I want to do about it. So, do we have anyone working on that? Yes, we have someone constructing rock mechanisms. Excellent. They are one of our potential wear monitors. At signs, Diziat, maybe are not necessarily humans. Actually, no, are not humans. They are dwarves who are not members of my fortress. Capital U is humans. Or capital U, diaresis. I think I'm beginning to think that given that we have... Why are dwarf corpses being kept there? That's not quite helpful. Yes, so we may well... So there'll be some entertainers, possibly some diplomats. I think I'm going to have to start just dumping corpses until we are in a position to build enough cage traps. Because while I like the idea of burying people properly, I also like the idea of What? How can you hack a left hand in the head? That doesn't work. Also, I'm now slightly worried that we might have the head of a left hand lying around. Right. Yeah, I'm going to start dumping anything that looks like it might possibly be part of a dwarf. Yes, I suppose they do.
Mentioning Swedes. Hey, I just will have said that. Well, say it's not my fault.
It's a slight problem that occasionally people look down into the pit, and the pit also looks into them, or something like that. Yes, the room above the pit tends to fill up with miasma. This is not actually a problem. Well, at least it's not a serious problem, because it only affects that room. Because the pit is full of rotting flesh, and yes, and we keep dropping things onto it, but it doesn't seem to help. Mostly because what we drop onto it is more rotting flesh. Hope we can get someone along with a weapon soon. Ah, yes, there's someone with a weapon. Right. Do I need to remark that corpse for disposal? Since it has come to life and then died again. Yes. No. Actually, I shouldn't place any burial receptacles until I've got some traps. I think we may be a bit short of competent engineers at the moment. People keep being scared of the things they see down the pit. This is, as far as I can tell, more or less normal. Eventually someone tough enough will turn up and hurl things in before they get scared. I mean, like, eventually what we should do is to work out a means. You're just having fun down there, aren't you? Yes. Is to work out a means of pumping some magma up into this pit in order to sterilise it. Yes, I could probably construct a more complicated corpse funnel. I mean, there is a slight problem now that people are going out collecting every corpse from the surface and bringing it down into the fortress, which may not be an entirely wise move. And certainly is involving quite a lot of hauling of stuff around. Seb asks, does the wiki have a page listing what all the symbols mean? Yes. Wonder where it is. That's not quite what we wanted. The page tile sets on the Dwarf Fortress wiki lists every character and what it's used for. And now I'm looking up apostrophes in it. Yes, at least they map it onto Unicode apostrophe, the straight one, and Grav. Yes, no, are they 1/4? Oh yes, no, the 1/4 are totally legitimate. I'm using approximately the correct character set. The 1/4 is listed somewhere in the tile sets page as rock nests, roots and branches. Now I can't see what's going on in that room because it's full of miasma. Also, what's the date? It is the 10th of Hematite. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, there's a slightly more useful listing by of kinds of creature by what letter they might be. Detailed use list by type, about 2/3 of the way down the page. Sorry, I've just discovered the cute thing that creatures that have glowing eyes have special characters that are used to show their glowing eyes, including a change if they lose an eye. Hello, it's 10 days before the next full moon, and I'm curiously assigning you to a task of go all the way over into the corner of the map. I need to give some more dwarves some engineering requirements, roles, whatever. You don't currently have any tasks, any labours assigned, any jobs rather assigned. Please start building traps. I mean, I'm not sure whether we have any spare cages, but we can dismantle that one now. Which will give us a spare cage. No, still don't need more entertainers. See, one nice feature of having all these doors around is that the miasma stays fairly well contained. Yeah, that's just the usual problem. At least I assume it is. So is that a cage just containing a perfectly ordinary drouther? Let's construct that cage over here then. Something appears to have decided that we need to do something with that cage already. Oh, possibly it needs to be moved. Right, now can I build it? Yes. Yeah, construct that drouther cage over there and we'll tame the drouther and then probably slaughter it. Yes, what's that corpse doing there? Why is it still there? Okay, someone's working on it. Actually, they may not be working on it in the correct way. Yes, the front door is still open. It is the 14th of hematite. My problematic dwarves are way over in the corner of the map. Diziat, if you want, asks, do you have to tame things before slaughtering them? Yes, if you want them not to fight back. And I think I want them not to fight back. Also, like that trains my animal tamer a bit. That's probably a human corpse. We probably don't have a use for that. It's labelled capital U. So I think we're still in the situation where there are no dangerous undead around. This is the 15th of hematite. Might... Oh, don't be there. Actually... Let's just say that nothing within like that quarter of the map should be available for people to pick up. That should avoid any dwarves going over there. Because, oh, and that miner who we think might be, yeah, where are you? I'm going to be brave and isolate you in a room if I can. Unfortunately, you are busy drinking at the moment. Because this is going to be messy if you turn now. I'm going to assign you to the Norns of Rhinom and hope you get out of the fortress in a reasonable time. Logging an incredibly heavy cage, you are alright. We probably need more cages. I'm slightly wondering about leaving them in there for now, because then that'll stop anyone bringing any more in. Right. I think I should have our wood workshop make more cages. Because wooden cages are lovely because they're tiny. Well, not tiny, they're light. And so we can reload cage traps quickly with them. This is the 18th of hematite, and one of my potential wear monitors is still on, is quite close to the entrance still, because they want to pick up their equipment. I'm going, what do I do about this? It's the 19th of hematite. Right, sod it. Locking that door. Pulling the lever and seeing if they transform. If they do, then we may be stuck with no one going in or out for a little while. Sorry, someone has just cancelled their job while standing on the drawbridge. Please don't stand there. It's going to be very painful for you quite shortly. Because the drawbridge is going to go twang and catapult you into the air. Or possibly kill you, I'm not quite sure which. Right. But that well, I'm not quite sure what happened to the dwarf who was on that drawbridge at the time. Because I can't find them. I didn't bother to check their name. That wear monitor has been neatly sealed away. And those two are off in the distance. And I think are busy fighting one another. And everyone else is sensibly staying well away. So that's going quite well. One of those cage traps is loaded. And we are now down one wear monitor because one of them has killed the other. That's probably safe. That one, curiously, doesn't seem to have much of a problem with the nearby pig. Oh dear, something's rotting there. Let's dispose of that. We can find it. Oh yes, I should mark that caged Draltha, sorry, as to be tamed by anyone who's conveniently available. Oh yes, the cat got its head bitten off by a wear monitor. Sorry. Which then leads me to go, where is the said wear monitor? Hasn't moved very far. Good. Indeed, is following their... I think they're staying following their order to hang around down there. Oh, heck. Oh, they converted back. Right. Okay, so... You are definitely a wear monitor. You're already a member of the Norns of Rhinom. We can now unlock that door. Pull the lever. And we can remember where the lever is. There it is. Right. And yes, see whether. I fear that sadly that dwarf may have been vaporized by the drawbridge, which I don't think is meant to happen. I think they're meant when you raise a drawbridge just to get catapulted into the air. So once those 3 cage traps are loaded, then we can start clearing that. Yes, kittens running all over the place is very much a thing in my fortress now. The frame rate has now dropped below 40. I may need to... interrupted by a bard. I'm not quite sure what that meant. Is that an undead bard? Doesn't seem to be. Yes. Right. So, come on. Load the damned cage traps. Do I need to give another person? I think we need more people on trap loading. Who else isn't doing anything very useful in general? You're a gelder, you don't really have much purpose in life. Start loading some traps for me. That's better. And like the other cages should be nice wooden ones. Do the traditional thing of tying up a pig in the next room. I'm being interrupted by bards too. Tying up a pig in the next room, 2 cage traps loaded. You don't need that much entertainment. So as to... Then we can lock all the doors to that room if it's ever empty. And once we've got that one into a cage, then then that will give us that whole room back, which will be nice. Oops, no. Schedule that wall for demolition. Dizziot asks, are many of these masterpiece bolts, are they super effective or just pleasing? They should be super effective, I believe. Let me just search out bolts on the wiki. Bolt. Yes, so I think based on at least some of the things that the wiki says, masterwork bolts are indeed much better than other kinds. But you really, really want steel ones rather than bone ones for most purposes. Also, I just left that running unpaused while I was looking at the wiki, so who knows what's just happened. Let's have a quick look at the messages and see if there's anything terrifying in there. Not very terrifying, at least. We may have lost another dwarf. Right, so those cages are cage traps are loaded. The wall is demolished. The pig is in place. Those 3 doors are now locked. Let us unlock that door and hope that the pig is enough to tempt that zombie out. Everyone else is now comprehensively upset by the fact what I've just done to the connectivity of the fortress. Come on, move! That one's passable. Oh, maybe it also needs to be pet passable. Also, did someone just walk through my locked door? Someone disagrees with me about whether that door is locked. Possibly because they're not a citizen of the fortress. Well, now you're locked in there. And still the zombie won't move. Well, frankly, if you're going to be like that about it... Is it asleep or something? I don't think zombies sleep. Well, in that case, I shall just let everyone pass through and send the military in to give it a good thwacking. Oh, here it comes. I think it was having a door open. Well, let's see what happens. Into a cage. Excellent. Slight embarrassment for the poor child who got scared by this corpse rushing out towards it, but still. So that room is now A, guarded at the entrance, kind of, by a bunch of cage traps, and B, empty. So let's remove the interior walls from it and fill it with coffins. Oops. and hurl Mengthobarak's corpse into the pit. Mengthobarak's still very much animate corpse into the pit. There we go. And then that'll reload. Then the cage trap can be reloaded. Indeed, someone's probably reloading the cage trap already. If you're going to go getting into fights in the caverns, what can you expect? Oh yes, I should have a quick... Oh no, sorry. We have random fat that we need, tallow rather, that we need to forbid. No. Why are you so grumpy? Might be able to do something about that, but snooze. Be generous and bury pets as well. Keeps people cheerful if their pets can be properly buried. Too many animals again. Right, is there anything in there? The resting place of Mengthobarak. Not that there's any of Mengthobarak in there anymore, because Mengthobarak came back to life, was killed again, and has been put somewhere more secure. But nominally, that's Mengthobarak's grave. Meanwhile, more coffins. Apparently, we need. Where's the relevant thing? I can remember the layout of my fortress really. Right, so that plan is now kind of underway as well. And now what we need is a phenomenal number of cages and a phenomenal number of mechanisms in order to make all of the cage traps that we need in order to keep the things that are meant to be in the graves actually in the graves. Actually, that's probably a silly place to put cage traps, because that's a connection between two rooms, both of which are full of graves. The awkward thing is that most of these rooms are adjacent to places that have other traps as well, but that I can at least do this area. Right, there we are. Right, so I think this is probably about enough for tonight. I mean, we've started a more modern burial procedure. We have found a solution to the problems of the wear monitors, thanks to Claire. Basically send them off into the outer distance and wait for them to be killed by the wildlife, or not, or to kill one another. I mean, all of this is slightly unfortunate, but we want, yes, let's just set another batch of mechanisms building for next time. We have plans for more sensible burials, which we're beginning to get underway, which will probably at least reduce slightly the sheer number of things that I need, of people I need to memorialise, though I may still want to pay attention to that as well. And yes, things are kind of under control again for now. So, good night, everyone. Where's the button for saying stop? Good night.